Hello. So in this video, we're going to talk about the ad hominem logical fallacy, and you're an idiot for not already understanding it. That was an example of ad hominem, right? So ad hominem comes from the Latin for against the man or against the person, as we would probably ideally say today. It substitutes arguments against the points that someone has made for personal criticism, generally personal criticism that is not relevant to the discussion being had. Incidentally, you're not an idiot for not already understanding this. It is not reasonable to expect people to understand something that they may or may not ever have learned about before. So I apologize. It was purely for illustrative purposes. So ad hominem, again, basically what this does is it's kind of a form of missing the point, right? Because if someone makes an argument supported with evidence, reasoning, emotional appeals, whatever it is, the stuff that goes into an argument, and you attack their character, then you're not responding to the argument, right? You're missing the point of the argument in order to focus on an address about the person, the speaker, rather than the message itself. So that's not actually a counterpoint to the argument that they have made, right? You haven't addressed what they are saying. We see this a lot in political debates, but we see this all the time in internet debates, online debates. Someone will make a point, whether it's a good point or not is irrelevant to the issue at hand, but someone will make a point and someone else will respond with something like, only an idiot would believe that, or only a libtard would believe that, only a fascist would believe that, whatever it is. Or complete dismissal of the person. You clearly don't care about X important issue, otherwise you wouldn't hold that view, whatever it is. Again, this is a logical failure because it doesn't represent an actual response to the argument that's been made. It represents a critique of the person. And while that critique is sometimes justified, it doesn't mean that they're wrong. Right? They may make an accurate argument, a correct point, even if they're a terrible human being. Now, this is a slightly tricky one because there are instances in which, we know that ethos is a component of rhetoric, right? It is one of the three classical appeals, ethos, pathos, logos. And so attacks on someone's credibility can actually be relevant. If a source is not trustworthy or reliable, then we shouldn't trust them. We shouldn't rely on them. If the source does not have other people's best interests at heart, we should not believe that they are saying something good. This is all true. And so this becomes actually where there's a border, there's a sort of grayish border between an ethos critique and an ad hominem fallacy. If the critique is rooted in you are untrustworthy because, and you can make an argument for why the position that they're presenting is unreasonable, unreliable, untrustworthy, untethered from reality, whatever it is, you're untrustworthy because whatever the reason, this other source which contradicts you has more authority, more knowledge, more trustworthiness, whatever it is. Yeah, if you're the COVID-19 pandemic was a really good example of this. If you are a random internet person who has done their own research, which means you've watched some conspiracy theory videos on YouTube, and you think you know more about the spread of infectious disease than people who have gone through medical school, dedicated decades of their lives to the study of this, then you are simply an unreliable source of information. But you're not unreliable just because you're bad. You're unreliable because the information that you have and are presenting is not trustworthy. So again, this is the thing. If it comes down basically to insults, you're dumb because you think that, that's not a response to the argument, right? But if it is a critique of the argument that involves undercutting the credibility of the speaker, we should not listen to you because you are not trustworthy for these reasons. That's actually a legitimate approach to rhetorical analysis and evaluation and to counter-argument, right? So this is one of the things. Not all critiques of a speaker, writer, whatever it is, will be an ad hominem attack. If they are supported by analysis, evaluation, and explanation of why the things that speaker is presenting are not trustworthy or reliable, then it's not a fallacy. If it's just, you are X thing, and therefore I can dismiss your perspective, you are a liberal, you are a conservative, you are a woman, whatever it is, that's an ad hominem attack. And so that is an unreliable approach to assessing someone's credibility, to assessing ethos and whether or not someone should be considered trustworthy, or more accurately, whether their argument should be considered trustworthy.